Modern digital ecosystems, from global banking networks to telecommunications grids, process millions of interactions every millisecond. The volume of data is massive, and the routing is highly complex. Organizations operating these networks face a dual threat: the compounding complexity of their own technology stacks, combined with severe, zero-tolerance regulatory oversight. Purchasing the newest platforms does not guarantee survival. Stacking new software on top of unstructured operations only accelerates points of failure. To withstand this pressure, C-level executives require a specific structural approach. They require executable strategic architecture. ONEITWORLD engineers this exact capability. Operating across Europe, the Americas, and the Caribbean, the firm designs and executes critical technology platforms for complex multi-actor ecosystems. This execution relies on a strict end-to-end framework built on 3 interdependent pillars. Enterprise architecture defines the high-level business strategy. Solution architecture translates that strategy into technical execution, and governance ensures the resulting system remains controlled and compliant. Mastering these 3 layers in sequence is the proven method for converting high-level corporate vision into heavily regulated, high-throughput production at a global scale. Most legacy organizations operate in a tangled as-is state. Decades of patched software, undocumented workarounds, and isolated databases create a chaotic operational baseline. Attempting to modernize by writing code directly from this baseline results in disconnected systems. The blueprints remain theoretical, trapped as paper architecture that never reaches production. Enterprise architecture acts as the required translation layer. It establishes a rigorous standard for the to-be future state. Raw, abstract business goals are systematically extracted and organized into a highly structured transformation roadmap. Frameworks like TOGAF are applied to enforce this structural alignment across the entire enterprise. But a generic framework leaves gaps. In mission-critical sectors, aligning the architecture to strict industry-specific compliance standards is mandatory. For banking and financial services, the BIAN framework defines the precise business capabilities required to operate. Telecommunications networks map their operational architecture using TM Forum ODA. And ecosystems handling payments and capital markets standardize their communication protocols through ISO 2022. By applying these rigorous frameworks, organizations secure interoperability and regulatory compliance before a single line of code is ever written. The most vulnerable point in any digital transformation is the transition from planning to execution. This is where strategic blueprints typically stall. Solution architecture bridges this gap. It is the deep technical capability that forces the model into reality. The abstract enterprise guidelines are translated directly into physical infrastructure and executable code. Execution centers on building fully cloud-native platforms to maximize elasticity and resilience. Massive, monolithic legacy systems are actively dismantled. They are replaced by microservices, small, independent processes that scale individually based on demand. API gateways are deployed to securely expose these services, allowing external organizations to connect without accessing the core system. To manage the massive data traffic moving through these pathways, event-driven architectures process actions asynchronously, ensuring the system never bottlenecks during peak loads. Complete replacement is rarely viable. The new cloud environment must seamlessly integrate with the legacy databases that remain active on-premise. Solution architecture ensures that static paper models become living, high-throughput realities. A successful deployment introduces a new threat: architectural drift. Without strict oversight, developers take shortcuts, workarounds are introduced, and technical debt accumulates. Architecture governance is the mandatory 3rd pillar required to arrest this decay. It establishes a protective operational boundary around the live technical environment. Compliance telemetry and operational data flow continuously from the infrastructure up to the governance layer. The ITIL framework processes this data, enforcing standardized IT service management and efficient operational control. Above this, a comprehensive governance, risk, and compliance, or GRC, model dictates corporate policy. In sectors like energy, healthcare, or capital markets, a service failure invites massive regulatory fines or national economic disruption. GRC actively monitors and mitigates these risks. Governance ensures that every future patch, update, and integration adheres strictly to the original business intent. blocking the system from reverting to its tangled as-is origins. Governance secures the digital investment, making long-term scalability possible. Theoretical frameworks prove their value under the stress of live, national-scale deployment. ONEITWORLD executed this exact triad in El Salvador. The objective was the total integration of the nation's financial banking ecosystem directly with its Ministry of Finance, enabling instantaneous online tax payments across multiple institutions. Operating at the intersection of government and private finance requires the highest level of institutional backing. The project was executed with direct funding from the Inter-American Development Bank. The resulting architecture was engineered to support hundreds of thousands of transactions per second, uniting distinct multi-actor systems into a single compliant operation. This execution generated international recognition. In Washington, D.C., ONEITWORLD was honored as a global laureate by Computer World magazine for its work on the integration project. This structural expertise extends into global community building, demonstrated by co-founding the International Association of Software Architects Columbia chapter, originating from Austin, Texas. Connecting an entire nation's banking sector to its government is accomplished through the strict integration of enterprise architecture, solution architecture, and governance. Organizations that lead their industries look past the temporary hype of isolated technology acquisitions. Architecture is a concrete, executable capability. It dictates whether a business scales,